Hello, everybody. Welcome to Coach's Corner this wonderful day, this wonderful Sunday. We're talking about something amazing as always. Of course, if you missed any of these, they're on your respective social platforms. We're on Facebook, we're YouTube, LinkedIn, wherever you need to, go to, it's there. So every Sunday you'll see the replays posted, and the replay will be posted right after this one as well. So my name is Jamel Matias. I'm a certified consultant of Proctor Gallagher. I help people. Basically, my brand is Believe in the Unseen. It's all about belief in yourself, belief in your goal, belief in your dream, and I help guide you to that. And my purpose is to reveal the potential that's already there within you and help guide you to your truest desires. So I'm in Maryland on the East Coast in the US, and I'll pass it to my amazing colleague, Lou.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. And if you're catching the replay, welcome. So, my name is Lou Perica, and I, as well, am a success mindset coach. And I help growth minded women who really want more out of life without the guilt, without the hustle and grind, to connect with their spirit, mind, body connection so they can actually design the life that they desire instead of the one they're living by default. Paul.
Yeah, thank you, Lou. Thank you, Jamel. Good morning. My name is Paul Wooters. I'm in Burlington, Ontario. I'm a Proctor Gallagher consultant. I'm a speaker, author, adventure traveler, but it wasn't always like this. I worked hard, I worked harder, I set goals, I was thinking positive, but I was feeling stuck. And because I didn't think my results were really matching my potential. And I didn't want to settle, and I really felt stuck. And that's why I've decided to dedicate myself to helping you create the life that you want, to rewire your programming in your mind. And with this fabulous transformational material that our mentor, Bob Proctor, created, I help you achieve your most elusive personal and professional goals. Jamel.
Amazing.
There we go.
Amazing. This conversation is going to be awesome. You know, and we talked, Paul mentioned there about being stuck. And you know how many people out there have been stuck? All three of us here. And also, you notice we're short one person as usual. Shout out to Alicia. Uh, of course she'll be joining us in future episodes, but she's here in spirit as well.
Yes. Hello,
And
Alicia.
and I'm gonna do my best to keep her tradition going here further in the session here with some. I'm sure it's gonna be funny how I tie them in there as usual, right? So, and notice, what we're talking about today is risk taking, and we're going in depth about an article that we study with training that we receive, and this is essential to becoming unstuck. Taking risk, developing your confidence, developing yourself is essential and becoming uncomfortable. So obviously risk taking is uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And intuition just gave me something to start this off. What's a risk that either of you like to share right now that you've taken in the past that you look back and you're, wow, I'm glad I did that. Anybody
I'll
want to
go.
share?
Yeah, I'll start. Well, I think for me, it's any time I've made a committed decision, really. When I mean, looking back on your life, whatever it was, you'd made a decision to start a career, get married, have children, whatever it may be, it always changes the trajectory of your life. When you enter into something new, like for an example, I typically use the example from going into real estate into being a success mindset coach. That was a risk because I had a very established real estate career. and I was enjoying it. I did very well in it, etc. So it was a risk for me to just transition over. And with that risk, the unknowns, I didn't know the hows, I didn't know, and all the old what ifs kept coming creeping back. But I've learned to stay the course. And through that, I've um, attracted amazing clients. And every time I hear one of my clients wins, there is a feeling like no other, even like in real estate or anything else. It's just an amazing feeling. But I would have never experienced these feelings of succeeding at a business that I didn't even know about, right? And being able to help others, that is an amazing feeling. But I had to take the risk. I had to open another door in order for me to change the trajectory of my life. And that's what taking is about. There's so many doors, and every door is an opportunity. And once you open that door, you're stepping into the unknown. And that's where the adventure of life begins, because you already know the backyard you're in. You know it. It is, it gets a little dull, a little boring. So that's why going to that door and just opening it and to see what is possible is truly amazing. But if you don't even attempt to open that door, you're just living the same life over and over every day. That's what I've been experiencing. That's what I have experienced in the past. Paul.
Wow. Yes. That's fantastic, Lou. What a great story. And so, as I alluded to in the introduction, I was working hard, working harder, but it didn't translate into really feeling that I was living to my greatest potential. So, similar to Lou, I had my own business, landscape design and maintenance business for over 35 years. In a great area. I never lacked for work. Nothing was ever slow, but I wasn't feeling as fulfilled as I thought I could be. I mean, I did the job well. I had great customers. You would think, everything was very smooth, but I just really felt stuck. There was just more of me that I wanted to bring to the surface. And as Bob said, that when we feel that, that's it. That's our inherent nature, is to grow. We want to grow. And so I took a risk like Lou did. She left her real estate business. So I went from having this established business, which I owned, to wanting to become a Proctor Gallagher consultant. It really, really spoke to me. And I really felt that by doing this, that I was going to grow into the person that I wanted to be, it was really going to nurture all the tools and the gifts that I was blessed with. And I could really become more of myself, more of the person that I wanted to be. And it was a huge challenge. Why would I leave this business really well established? And there was this push and pull, I wanted to do it, but why not retreat into something that I knew, that I felt safe, that I was familiar with. And so that's what we do, right? We retreat into that safe zone, into our comfort zone, without wanting to really stretch ourselves and really finding out who we really are and who we really can become, and really feeling that fulfillment and really being excited about every day, and about, going to bed very satisfied, and not just feeling like we're on this hamster wheel and we're sort of stuck at a certain level in our lives, whether that be in finances or where we live, and just the type of person we are and the things that we can do. So taking this risk and becoming a Proctor Gallagher consultant, and now helping other people transform their lives so they can become the person they want to be, is so rich and rewarding and fulfilling. And it doesn't feel like a job. It doesn't feel like there's any kind of a grind or anything like that. It's just so, but it was a really, really tough thing to do, because, okay, what if it doesn't work out? What if it doesn't work out for me? And I've given up this thing, and I've done this thing for years and been successful at it. Why would I give that up? And when I told people even people that were really close to me that I thought, okay, they're really going to be supportive. They weren't. They looked at me like I had three heads. Why are you've got something good going on. What are you doing? They
Yeah.
just didn't understand. But I had to follow what I wanted to do, to be me, to be the person that I wanted to be. And it's been so rewarding, and it keeps unfolding. It keeps unfolding. Just like a good plant will continue to bloom, something that you nurture, it really blooms and it thrives. And I really feel that I'm growing, that I continue to grow. I don't feel like I'm stagnant anymore. And I just have this greater awareness. And I'm just, I could just go on and gush about how great it's been. But unless you take that risk, you'll never find out who you really, really are. Jamel.
Mm.
Wow. Such lovely stories. Thank you both for sharing those. That's so powerful. And how do I even follow up with that? This is beautiful, because without risk taking, we're not becoming a higher version of ourselves. And we are allowing fear to hold us back to a version that we no longer want to be or experience. So all of us here face some type of fear, even including what Paul shared there, becoming a consultant, because it's different than what we've done in the past. And so many stories of risk taking came to mind. A funny one was basically being a little boy, rambunctious, kind of crazy, out of his mind little boy, but optimistic. There was like this construction site that had these huge hills of dirt. For some reason, we shouldn't have been playing back there, but it was a group of my buddies, it was like maybe 7 or 10 of us. And there was the biggest hill, and nobody would ride their bike up it. Well, actually, we had to walk it up there and then ride your bike down. There were, we did like 2 or 3 of them. And then all of a sudden, everybody else backed out. But guess who decided to do it?
Oh boy.
This guy. So, not knowing the dangers, I could break my arm or there's no helmets at the time. There's no elbow pads or none of that. So I'm walking my bike up there, not realizing how high this hill is until I get at the top, and I can see pretty much the tree line and roofs and stuff. So the vantage point was beautiful, but I looked down and I started seeing a lot of fear, because I was like, there's no way I can ride my bike down this hill safely. And it was kind of loose dirt too. I remember this very vividly. It wasn't like it was paved or compacted. So anyway, I was up there. I said, "Hey, I'm doing it." I waved down all my friends, getting on the bike nice and slow. I hold the handlebars, and I just let it roll down. Right. So I'm going down the hill. Of course, having a little loose soil, it's a little shaky, but I'm holding on. I'm having my balance. I'm a skilled rider at that time, because it prepared me for that moment. And that's deep in itself. So as I'm going down, a few of my friends were laughing, a few looked a little scared, and a few were cheering for me. And I didn't let go. I stopped being afraid. I was only afraid like a split second when I started. After that, I was focused. And thinking back on that little story, how that carried over to so many other risk-taking experiences in my life. Being the first to go to college, not having money to pay for it, that was huge. First in my family. And even getting out of college, going into work field, and leaving traditional jobs to be an entrepreneur and help people with this material. That was a huge risk for me, but I'll do it all over again and again and again. Now that I know the freedom that I have to even be here with my colleagues, to even share this material. And it's really interesting when you look back at little stories like that, you're connecting the dots going backwards, right? You can only connect them going backwards, not going forward. And that being on that hill, I think I was under 10 years old. Wow. I gained a sense of confidence. And then did some other crazy stuff. Thank God I never broke it. Had enough sense, but it raised my frequency and what I can do and who I am,
You
as
know,
silly as it is. But
you know what I love, Jamel? What
yeah,
you said in that story. Thank you for sharing. Is because we've all been there, right? Especially when we're kids, right? Somebody dares you to do something, but you said like the key word. You were scared, but you focused. See, if you focused on what you were doing, balancing your bike, getting to the bottom of the hill, but if you allowed the chitter chatter of, oh my God, am I going to fall? What if I fall? Oh, can I make it to the bottom? Oh, what if I don't do it and all my friends laugh at me, blah, blah, blah. Then you probably would have lost balance, fallen, tumbled down the hill. But that word, that was such a key word in that story, is that you stayed focused at the task at hand. And by being focused, you kind of like relaxed your mind and just, this is what we're doing. I'm going to balance my bike. I'm going down the hill, regardless of if the soil is not compacted and it's loose and I see tree stumps or whatever. You just stayed focused. I thought that was really powerful. Thank you for sharing that.
you're very welcome, Lou. You're very welcome. And to develop that such at a young age, and you look back and you're like, wow, the focus part of it was faith, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you gain a faith where I know I can do this. Let me just let go, right? Let go, let God or spirit, right? So that's what I did. I said, I know I can do it. Watch me. And here's this confidence pouring in. And then, of course, the kids were like, oh, you did it, Jamel. Oh, I would never do that, but you did it. Like, I got praised,
Yeah.
and I was the kid on the block that did something no one's done.
It's
They
so
wouldn't do it
funny.
after that.
You triggered too when we used to ride our bicycles, because that's what you do when you're a kid, right? There were two areas where we lived. One was a corner, and there was always sand because from after the winter it was a touch. So they used to have sandboxes, and the cars would get out, and people would spread sand. So coming around down that hill and making that corner, I was always fearful. You just triggered a memory for me. And then there was another area on the sidewalk where it got super narrow because of a tree stump or something. And every time I would approach these two things, I can feel that, oh my God, I'm going to fall. Oh my gosh, I'm going to fall. And I think sometimes maybe I did, and sometimes I didn't. It was most likely the times when I focused, oh my gosh, I'm going to fall, I fell. But if I just went through it, I was fine. So it's really funny. You just triggered those two memories of me on bikes.
I love it. I love it. Yeah.
See?
The bike era.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a bicycle story. I have a bicycle story, and it wasn't when I was a kid. It was actually I was in my 30s, and I was in good shape. Ran marathons, and I did a lot of biking. And some friends of mine who were avid mountain bikers were entering this 24-hour mountain bike race. So it's a loop. So each loop is about. So you're a team, like a relay team. And so each loop might take you 45 minutes to an hour to do. And so I got myself in shape. I was riding my bike all the time, but I'd never done technical riding like this required. I think it was called 24 Hours of Adrenaline. It was a 24-hour race. And I'd never done technical riding like that. I was in my 30s. I was all pumped up. And so now we're going downhill, like down a ski hill, like through the tree line, through the trees. So there's a trail going through trees. There's I think there were like 700 riders and things like that. And there was a single lane or two lanes. That's it. And so the first loop I went around, I had never done technical riding like that before, like over logs, between trees, going down, like I said, going down the ski hill, between the trees and stuff. I was super scared, like more scared than the first time I went on a roller coaster. Like when I was a kid, the first time that fright, I was so scared. But I remember one of my teammates saying, remember this, momentum is your friend. Momentum is your friend. So when you're going down the hill, like don't go down the hill with your brakes on. Just go with the momentum and steer your way through. It'll be safer. And, you know, by the end of that 24 hours, I mean, I was really jacked up about it. I was having so much fun. That first loop, I was as scared as I'd ever been, even back into my childhood. But then remembering that line, momentum is your friend. And as you let it go, you just went for it and allowing that momentum. And once you got going and that momentum, it truly was your friend, right? You have to release the brakes. So release the brakes in life and go for it. You can't go when you've got the brakes on. And it was such a great experience, but I'll never forget that line, momentum is your friend. And just you take that risk, start going for it, and that momentum will carry you through. And you build the confidence, like with anything, right? You take that risk, you take a chance on yourself, and what you get in return is that experience and that confidence. And I'm so happy that I did it. And it was, you know, such a great memory, but boy, I was super scared when I first went around that first couple of loops.
Yeah, awesome story, Paul. I love it. I love it. Yeah, the cave we fear to enter holds the treasure we seek, right? So the opposite side of fear is the freedom you're seeking. So, you know, are you being a little cat? You know, are you this little kitty cat? Or are you letting that lion within express itself? Right? Exactly. So let me forgot to mention, feel free to drop any comments or questions right here live. We love to hear from you. So feel free to tap in with this conversation and drop any comments or questions you may have. And also our call links are in the descriptions as well. So that way, you know, we want to talk to you and basically help you with this material. And I know we have amazing stories and amazing experiences, but the point is to help you take some risk to your higher self, to help you take some risk out of your comfort zone, because that's what you're seeking. So speaking of that, let me share the article. There was something really powerful at the very top of the article. Let me find it. There we go. So right here, well, I'll even read the beginning. It says the dictionary tells us that to risk is to expose oneself to the chance of loss. And I suppose that is true. Another piece of literature, an author unknown, suggests that. I love this right here. To laugh is to risk appearing the fool. To weep is to risk appearing sentimental. To reach out for another is to risk involvement. To expose feelings is to risk exposing your true self. To place your ideas, your dreams before a crowd is to risk their loss. To love is to risk not being loved in return. To live is to risk dying. To hope is to risk despair. To try is to risk failure. That is very, very powerful. To try is to risk failure.
The next couple of lines I have highlighted in my book.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Lou. You want to share?
Well, it says, you may avoid suffering and sorrow if you don't risk, but you simply cannot learn, feel, change, grow, love, or live. The greatest hazard in life is to risk nothing. The person who risks nothing does nothing, thus has nothing. Only a person who risks is free. Oh, so true.
Wow. Mic drop. We can end it on that one.
Okay.
That is so huge. We can read that again.
When you think about it, you know, we talked about, what was it last week? Confidence. I think last week was confidence, and that's what we'll be getting into, is how we're not born afraid of taking risks. We're actually taught to be afraid of taking risks. It's really so fascinating, because like further along in the article, when they talk about how babies we instinctively know that falling down is part of the lesson to learn how to walk. And we've discussed this before, but that divine essence within us that's always saying grow, 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 because that divine essence within us is always looking to express itself in a greater way, expand and express, and it uses us. So this is why we all have our own individual desires and wants, because that essence is expressing it through us. It's using us as the vehicle. So when we get that call to do something, even though it's scary, that something is meant for us to carry out. I think I mentioned in one of the calls, a spiritual assignment. So this is what's so fun. Like I've done, similar to Paul, like physical things. Was I scared when I did the Spartan race? Holy cow. I was so
Oh,
scared.
wow. I didn't
The
know you did
first thing was this, I don't know, 8-foot wall. I could barely, get my feet off the ground. But every challenge, I remember one of the obstacles was like a rope obstacle, and it was really high, and you had to climb. It was on an angle, and my feet were wobbling, and I just looked down, and I was like, oh God, look, just focus, just focus. And I got up to the top, but now you had to get on the other side to come down. And flipping my leg over to find and have my footing get into one of these other holes in the netting, and then bringing the other one over, and I'm at the top. There's only rope holding me, and I'm wobbling and spinning. I was terrified. I was so scared. And then when I made it over, that was the biggie right there. That was a win. And then I started to climb down and go about on the rest of the obstacle course. But that was one of the biggest fears that I had, is just, oh my gosh, because I had to shift my body weight, right? Things like this. I think I shared at one time, there's a rope course near me, and I always wanted to do it. Every time I drove by it, I would see people hanging and dangling. I was like, I'm going to do it. And I would ask people, come on, you want to do it? No, no. Everyone kept saying no. And I was like, BS, I'm doing this. I don't care. And it was like 90 degrees the day I did it. And I can hear myself talking to myself, okay, Lou, you're here. You're standing on a little platform, and your goal is to get to there. In order for you to get there, you have to put your feet on these things that are moving and swaying, and you have to hold on to the rope. But in order to do that, that's the part you have to get through in order to get to that next level. And every time I can hear the conversation in my head, just do it, Lou. You can do it. You can do it. But it really is this inner conversation that we have, right, with ourselves. But there's many times that I've talked myself out of things. And at those moments, I can see me falling. I can see me with the bicycle. Oh, Lou, you're gonna slip, and boom, naturally I would slip. So it's this inner conversation, this dialogue that we're having with ourselves that gets us through to the next point. You can do it. You can do it. Just take a deep breath. Take your time, one step at a time, Lou. And every time I have those conversations with myself, I calm down and I just do it. But once that other voice pops in, well, what if, what if, what if? I doubt myself, I start to wobble or whatever and fall. So the inner conversations that we have with ourselves is so vital. And that's why when you take a risk, when you take a chance of doing something different, doing something new, you must be aware, be mindful of the conversation, because you will talk yourself out of it, for sure. The paradigm, the old beliefs, Who do you think you are? You can't do that. That's dangerous. You'll fall. You'll hurt yourself. Da, 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 da. Those voices from the past will definitely want to pull you back. So, in order for there to be growth, you must learn to override those conversations and have the conversation with yourself like, I can do this. I may not do it as fast as someone else. I may not do it as well as someone else, but I can do it the way Lou is going to do it. And just one step at a time. And that's the excitement, that's the adventure of life. Life is meant to be exciting and an adventure. But if we don't take risks, it's just the same old, replaying every day is the same scene, right?
Exactly. Good. Paul?
Yeah. So that's so great, Lou. The very first line in this article, it says the dictionary tells us that to risk is to expose oneself to the chance of loss. Like, what a negative, unfortunate, and that's the thing, right? So we get this, we get discouraged by the word risk because historically that's what we think of. We think of loss, right? It has this real negative meaning or definition attached to it. It has this negative connotation. Risk, it means we're going to lose something. We have this chance of losing something rather than it's an opportunity to gain something, right? We have to start to shift our mind to think that taking the risk is giving us the ability to try. It's giving us it's opening ourselves up to more possibilities. Otherwise, we're just building a cage. We're building our own prison. We don't want to do the next thing. And we're not opening ourselves up to the beauty of what we could actually be. And recognize, failure is something that we fear. We fear failure. But we've talked about it before, that failure is so important, that failure is part of success, because the failure gives us, a lesson. It gives us feedback. It's the ability to use, we use it as a stepping stone, and that leads to greater success. But most people don't even want to try because of the fear of failing. And Lou mentioned something about a baby learning to walk. A baby falls down and it hurts itself. It's a baby. It's like, a year-old baby has been on this planet for a year, and we encourage that baby to walk. It falls down, it bumps. Oh, get up. You can do it. You can still, it's okay. It's just a little bump. The poor baby is crying. You don't pick up the baby and go, you know what? Maybe walking isn't for you. Maybe you better just sit down. You better just sit down. Walking is not, in your future. You don't say that. You encourage them to go on. You get your kids involved in sports. Come on, you can do it. You can do it. Don't worry, it's okay. Try your best. But then we don't do that as adults. Right? We stop doing that. Somewhere along the line we stop, because our default is, I can't. Lou said, I can, right? You have that voice, I can't. What if, and all these scenarios, right? We automatically, the default is automatically go to all the negative things that couldn't go wrong and all the things that might happen. We're not suggesting, none of us are suggesting to be irresponsible, right? Now, there's a fine line. We don't want to be irresponsible, but we don't have to be so calculated and figure out like all the hows and write it down and what are all the bad things that are going to happen. There's a saying, stop being so afraid of what could go wrong, start getting excited about what could go right. But it's that default of things that are going to go wrong that keep bugging us. And if Alicia was here, right, she'd have, there's some parrot on one side and a parrot on the other side. You have that voice.
I got more.
Jamel looking.
An internal tug of war, right? So, but who do you want to be? Why, who do you really want to be? And you take that risk because of the opportunities that will open up to you. and you will discover the person that you really can be and that you really truly are, that you truly want to be. So you have to release those brakes. Release those brakes.
Yeah, release those brakes. We had a lot of bike stories today. So that's an excellent way to put it, Paul. Let me share the screen here because this is right on topic. And, it even says here, what causes individuals to shy away from taking risk, even if it is a low risk and will give them something they really want? It dates back to our little life. And since risk taking is likely not a subject that is taught in school or in, obviously, work life as well, right? A person's fear of taking risks might stem back from before they can even remember. Look at that. So, for instance, when you were a child taking your very first steps, it wasn't uncommon to hear one of your parents or guardians say, "Be careful, you might fall," or "Don't do that, you'll." So though some of this is rhetoric and you don't really pay much attention to it, for some, it begins the pattern of playing it safe. So we've been conditioned to play it safe. Rather be safe than sorry. Well, what Bob reversed that, didn't he? He said, I think he said it's sorry to be safe or something like that.
Better sorry than safe.
Right. And look at this. Failing will never make you a failure unless you quit. I always loved when Bob expressed that, because think about Thomas Edison, right? The light bulb, the filament of light, electricity, harnessing it in a light bulb. All the times he so-called failed. I think the quote is, I took another step to success, or something like that. You can help me out with that. But the point is, every moment was a success towards
a success. Yeah.
Exactly. So you only fail if you give up on what you're doing or towards that goal that you want. And I love right there on the screen, the greatest hazard in life is to risk nothing. Wow. Because when you don't take any type of risk, you're just stuck in that prison of your own making. And you'll continuously wish and hope for things to get better. And this is speaking to somebody. You hope and wish things to get better, and you keep looking from the outside, but you're not taking any type of risk. So you're still stuck where you are. Mm-hmm. I remember this quote that comes to mind. There's those that make things happen. And there's those that watch the people that make things happen. And then there's those that don't know what the heck is happening. I always like that, because where are you in that area? Like, really look at yourself. This is not to beat you down. This is to build you up. We all come from a place of love here and sincerity, and we want the best for you. But really look at your own life. The greatest hazard in life is, look at that, love is kind. The greatest hazard in life is to risk nothing. So if you haven't risked anything this year, maybe mentorship, you're seeking mentorship, you so-called see it as a risk. That's the direction to go if it's speaking to you and you want change and growth. And are you being controlled? This is a little controller for my daughter's remote control. See, Elisa, I got your back. So are you being controlled by your past, by your mental conditioning, what's been implanted in your subconscious mind over and over again, your subconscious mind? Oh, watch out. I take ownership. I've been telling my daughter, careful, slow on the steps, hold on to the rail. And then I have to kind of really catch myself. I didn't, and I love my parents, but they raised me differently, right? He's a boy. My dad is really tough. He's in the military. He'll be all right. Banged his head. He's all right. Walk it off, no. So I became this person. So the point is, are you being controlled by your past and your limiting beliefs and your comfort zone? Or are you the one controlling it? Are you controlling your future and what you do? So I thought that was a good one.
Yeah, that is a good one, Jamel.
All right.
I want to, so you mentioned, yeah, so that's where, I mean, we all do it. If you're a parent, or even if you're near a child, you know, and they're exploring and they're running fast, you can almost see them falling and scraping their knees, and you want to prevent that. But what we keep doing is, oh, be careful, you'll hurt yourself, is we're starting to create self-doubt within the child. And one of the things I have underlined that you just read, Jamel, failing will never make you a failure unless you quit. I want us to think about the word, because that's what most of us are fearful of, is failing, right? But when you think of the word, it's just a word. It's just a word. We could replace it with cup. We could replace it with scissors. It's just a word, but it's the meaning of the word that has been impressed upon us. So even when you say failure, the tonality that we say it in, the sound that we say it in, the image that we've been given about the word failure. Think about the movies, the songs. Oh, you broke my heart, I can't go on. Oh, the guy's just struggling, and we didn't want to be that image. And the feeling, that word failure, I know for me, triggers me. I don't even like saying the word. And it's like, well, why is that word failure have such a deep meaning for me? But I don't think I'm alone, because I think this is why most of us don't want to fail, because of the image that comes along with that. And because it's really just a word, but it's really quite fascinating, the meaning we've given it and the image that goes along with that. That's because, again, it's just a word. We could take that word and say, oh yeah, you're afraid to be a cup, you're afraid to be a sneaker or whatever. Right? But it's the word failure, and how it's said, the images that we've been shown what a failure looks like. And I think that's the fear that we have. It's not a matter of, falling down, and that's okay. Falling down's okay, but it's the image of falling down and people laughing at you. It's the image of falling down and, oh, yeah, you'll never be able to do it again. Just like Paul was saying, don't even bother walking, because it's just not the cards for you, right? That's the image. So that's why failure can have such a strong hold, I think, on us, because of the image and the meaning we give it. But if we maybe just give it a new version, just like Paul says, it's just part of the success process. So if we stop giving it that word with that image and that feeling, and just redefine it, it's just a step. It's just a stepping stone to the path of success, whatever it is that you want to achieve. So I know for me, that's how I have to look at it. That's how I have decided to redefine it and understand this is my journey. What I choose to do, how I choose to fall, how I choose to get up is my business. It's no one else's business, because it's my journey. So it doesn't matter how many times that someone may fall down or get up. It doesn't matter. It's no one else's business, because it's the journey for you, the lessons that you need to learn. Just like we talked about in Rules for Being Human. You'll keep on learning lessons until you've learned the lesson. But it's not a big deal. Don't beat yourself up over it. But we were really designed to succeed. We can be, do, and have whatever we want. And that's the feeling saying, come on, let's go, let's grow, let's grow. And just like the law of polarity, if we're not creating, if we're not becoming, we are slowly disintegrating, because the whole purpose of life is to move forward, to grow, to expand. And if you're not doing that, there's really no need for you. Nothing personal, but that's the purpose of life. It's always going to move forward. So that's the calling and the feeling that we all have when we see something, we want to take a risk. That's life saying, let's go, come on, let's do it, let's experience this. This is awesome. But then the paradigm says, you can't do that. What are you, crazy? And this is the power that we have. We have the tools to override that inner chitter chatter. What do they call it? The noisy roommate. We have but if you don't understand the skills, if you don't understand what you're capable of doing, you allow that noisy roommate to control your life. And that's what we're here to help people understand, because that noisy roommate, even though it's still he or she still shows up, not nearly as much as it used to in the past. And now I know I have the tools to quiet that. I understand where that chitter chat is coming from, and I understand the tools to override that and speak into creation what I desire. Wow, that was a mouthful.
But it was so good. I was really captivated by what you're saying, because it's so true, right? It's just like risk. It has this negative definition attached to it, right? Risk means losing something. Failure means humiliation, means rejection, means being laughed at. All these negative things where it is just, it's not a negative. It's not a negative word, right? That's what we're trying to impress upon you. It's just another step. It's giving us feedback. If you look at all the successful people, they have fallen down and failed countless times. If you're a huge, if you love athletics or sports, and people love watching the Olympics, they see all these fantastic athletes. But what we don't see is the countless hours behind the scenes that got them there. And how many times did they fail, or supposed fail, or not make what they wanted to make? How many times did they fall down? How many tears were shed? How many injuries did they have to overcome? How many obstacles? How many times were they told they can't do it, or they won't be the ones, or they can't score, or they're not fast enough, or they're not big enough, or something like that? And we don't see all those stories, right? You hear about them sometimes, but you don't see the countless hours that these people have put in. And they just overcome it. Just didn't come all naturally, right? If you watch baseball, a really good hitter on your team is batting 300. 300. That means only 30% of the time they're getting a hit. 30%. And that's good. That's like all-star caliber, hitting 300. And I think Jamel said it earlier, if you don't, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So if you go up to bat, never swing at the ball, you're never going to get a hit. And I think it might have said it in this article, but if you don't take your foot off first base, you're never going to get to second, right? And there's people that will do anything to avoid the uncomfortable feeling of fear, right? And the problem is that you run an even bigger risk of never getting what you want in life, because that good stuff requires taking a risk. Right? And I wrote this down, and I don't know if it came out of this article or another article, but success can only be reached when we are prepared to take those steps, even the ones where we might fall down. The real win is the confidence and the experience that you acquire, and that translates into new opportunities for growth, new opportunities for enjoyment, new opportunities for expansion in all areas of your life, Now, how many times have you heard life is short? You hear that all the time, like thousands of times I've heard that. But it's really worth repeating because that's exactly the reason why you've got to be fearless. Because life is short. That's why you need to start taking risks. That's why you need to do it. That's exactly the reason why you need to do it.
Mm.
Jamel.
Wow. Wow. Excellent. Shared very, very well. Both of you. This is amazing. I knew it was going to be an awesome session today. I knew it. It's always awesome. You know, Paul mentioned a lot there, and he said something very special at the end. Life is short. Right? I keep doing it when you drink your tea or water. This is your time, right? This is a little timer. And, you know, let's turn it upside down. The sand that's at the top is your future, projected future, right? Whatever time you think you might have 30 years, you might have 2 years or whatever, right? That's something we don't know. We don't know what's up here, right? We don't know what our future holds. Here's the sand that's going down at the bottom. That's your past. You can't change what's back there, right? The past is the past. Leave it there, you know, especially if it's negative. If it doesn't serve you, don't bring the past to your present. But here, right where the sand is moving, that's right now. That's this moment. And taking risk will always be in this moment.
Mm.
That's why they say the present is a gift. And the question is, do you choose to remain where you are, or you take the risk to the version that you want to experience? It's very simple. And that's why we're here to help you through that, because taking risk, oh my God, we shared so many different things here. But there's something that really spoke to me in the article that I definitely want to share here. There's a lot in here, but I definitely want to share this. This is so good. And this is going to really, really speak to you if anything else didn't speak to you here today. So,
Yep, there it is.
see, Lou and I are on the same frequency.
4-letter word.
So there's a 4-letter word that most parents use around their children so frequently that the children pick it up, and before too long, it is buried in the treasury of their subconscious mind. That 4-letter word is can't. This word has done more damage than a lot of other frowned upon 4-letter words put together. We'll continue here. Can't is a word that paralyzes any constructive progress. It switches your mind into a negative frequency. It is a 4-letter word that will open your mind to a never-ending flow of logical, practical reasons, which will enable you to justify why you are not able to do something you sincerely want to accomplish. So the only alternative, pay attention to this, to that 4-letter word is its polar opposite. I can. I can is far more important than IQ. You don't necessarily have to be very smart to win, but you must be willing. Willing to do what? To take the so-called risk and let go. Let go of your old version. And you know what's so powerful about that? For us to be here on this camera, we had to tell ourselves we can. For us to be on video, you know, some people are scared to talk, scared to raise their hands, scared to speak. We had to tell ourselves, I can. For us to step out of our older versions. Paul shared his story about his businesses. Lou shared her story. I shared mine. We had to say, yes, I can. And look at us now. We're lioness and lions speaking to you through experience. We don't just know about this. You know, we experience it. So that I really want to share because I don't even allow that word in our household. because it's been so conditioned in my life. I had to break through it. And even if my daughter says, it's so funny. She catches herself now. Even I haven't heard it. Wow. Probably in over a year now. She won't speak it, and think of that type of conditioning at such an early age, right? There's your subconscious mind. Imagine you've been telling yourself most of your life, I can't. That is so powerful. Override that. I can ask a question on live. Maybe you're a little scared to talk to us. I can set up a call with one of them. I can invest in myself to get whatever it is I want. Growth is a natural process. You desire things because you want to grow. We're meant here to grow. So if you're telling yourself, eliminate I can't, or the word can't in your vocabulary from this day forward, because all it does is it holds you back to a limited version, and you start disintegrating, like Lou shared. And to disintegrate, not knowing your future, it'll be a rough road for you, a road that you don't want. So, but anyway, yeah, I really wanted to share that. Thank you for letting me share that.
Yeah, think about when you say I can't, it's like the mind just automatically shuts down. It's like, I can't, it's done. We're not going to do it. I can't do it. It's almost like when someone says, I don't know. It's just a default answer, right? So a lot of times I can't is just a default answer. You're not even thinking about how can I. It's just, I can't. Or I don't know. And I always, when someone says, well, I don't know. And I said, well, if you did know, because now what I've caused them to do is to think. Because I don't know is just a default answer, means my mind's shutting down. I'm not going to think about why, possibilities, or anything. It's the same with I can't. The mind shuts down. You've already given it an order. There's no need for it to go and look for possibilities and solutions. So when you say I can, how can I? How can I? Now you're opening up the flow of possibilities, of solutions, of the hows, because you've triggered your mind to go into search mode, right? You've triggered the search engine to go look for answers. But when we say, I can't, it just shuts down. There's no need. You haven't given it any target or any direction. It's just like, okay, putting up the close sign. No need to. So be very mindful when those words come out of you, and notice when other people are speaking. Just start becoming a little bit more mindful. Watch how people speak. Listen to the words they're saying, because if they truly understand, if they truly understood the power of thought and being able to direct your thoughts, means being able to direct your words, right? We've always heard, think before you speak. You will start to really notice that people are not thinking. It's just mental activity. They're speaking from default, not actually stopping to think. How many times have we said, oh, stop, wait a minute, let me think about that? It's like they're going about right, doing everything, and then they actually, oh, let me just stop and think about that. So the whole time they were just in autopilot. So be very mindful of the words that you're using, and start observing the words that people are saying. And it'll become very obvious to you how the word I can't, I don't know, just shuts the mind down. You don't even bother having a further conversation about something when someone just says, I can't. So be mindful, and especially if you're raising children. I wish I had learned this material when I was raising my children, but it came when it came. So be mindful when you're raising children and what you're telling them that they can't do. And, be careful, you'll hurt yourself. Really, we are instilling self-doubt within the children. So
So good, Lou, because it's true. We close the door on on opportunities that exist for us. We're always looking for opportunities, and then we're closing the doors by saying, I can't. That we have to really monitor our self-talk. It's so, so important. I do it all the time to myself, and I have to just, okay, cancel that thought, fill it,
Yeah.
replace it with another thought. And I know we're getting close to our time here. So I just have to encourage you, to, apply for that dream job, launch that website, take that new class, and expect to make mistakes. Realize too, you're not alone. Self-doubt happens to all of us. It doesn't just go away. But with the tools that we're sharing with you and the tools that we can share with you, you can live and start living the kind of life that you really want, and the one that you deserve, the one that you really absolutely deserve. And I did highlight a line from this article that really jumped out at me, and it's that reaching the goal is not success. Success is moving towards the goal. And taking risks is essential when you want to reach a goal. And the purpose of goals is what? It's growth. So when you challenge yourself, you bring more of yourself to the surface, right? You bring more of yourself to the surface. And that's so, so important. If you really want to live your true self and have the life that you truly want to live, again, we're not condoning, okay, being irresponsible, but you have to take the risk and don't just close the door to the opportunities that present themselves to you. Jamel.
Yeah, so well shared, everybody, and thank you, Paul. That's exactly what I was going to mention. See how the synergy here? Paul mentioned that the reaching the goal is not success. Success is moving toward the goal. So that reminds me of Earl's definition of success: the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. That was his definition of success. So remember, we're either creating or disintegrating, right? Or being or whatever. So the point is, definitely have a worthy goal. What's worthy to you? What do you really want? What do you want to achieve? What do you want to have? What do you want to do? This is why it's important to get clarity and have clarity, order of the mind, heaven's first law. So if you don't know what you want, let us help you with that. Let us help you figure out where you want to go, what you want to achieve. And, growth, it's connected to the goal, right? Goals are not just to get things or have things. They're designed for us to grow. You naturally want to grow, and don't feel bad about what you want, what you desire, or what you want, because it's unique to everybody. You want your first 7 figures? Let's do it, right? But it's only you that holds yourself back to that version that you want to experience. And I love that when it's said here in the article, when you challenge yourself, you bring more of yourself to the surface. More of yourself. There's hidden potential right there that you haven't really tapped into, and it's been dormant, waiting for you to take that risk. It's been sitting there saying, hey, I'm really motivated what they said today. Or I really like how Lou shared that, or how Paul shared that, or how Alicia, other episodes shared, her perception as well, her experience. So, but did you take the risk of reaching out to one of us? So-called risk, right? And that's a very low risk. Oh, I can't. I have to do the dishes. Oh, I can't. I'm afraid to even imagine that life for myself. All that is the behavior of being a little kitten. You're locking up that lion that's inside you that wants to get out and see the open field and live that open life and run the pack. Or you can be that little kitten and just stay in one little room in your little cubby for the rest of your life if you want. It's always a choice. But of course, you're not alone. You have us on, Coach's Corner every Sunday, but you have us at a higher level as well, because we want to meet you and we want to talk to you. So we hope this really helped you. Our links are in the description to schedule a call. I do have some time today and maybe some time tomorrow, but pick whatever time. Talk to us. Don't let this just be motivation and inspiration. This is your life. You don't know what's in the future. The time is now. I laugh because it's a no-brainer. Don't overthink it. Listen to your heart. You can hear with your ears, but you listen with your heart.
I just wanted to mention, Jamel, the power of a one-on-one call, because you're going to be speaking with one of us who truly understands, because this is what we study, this is what we experience, this is what we bring our clients through. We understand the power of being heard, being understood, feeling validated. Whatever you're going through, we're not going to be selling you a strategy or a product. We're helping you understand you, so you can make the decisions to design your own life the way you want to experience it. Life may be short, so the whole point is, what are you experiencing from day one to the transitioning time? So that's why these one-on-one calls can be life-changing, even if within 30 to 45 minutes. Because we're here to hear you and listen to you. And most people that you will speak to don't understand the cause. They're trying to fix your results, but they don't understand where the cause, what's causing the results. And it's the same with all of us. So that's why these one-on-one calls actually has the potential to change your life. But if you don't book the call, then we can't help you. We're hoping that the value that we're bringing on these calls bring something to you, some sort of awareness. But just book the call. Again, I think you're really going to enjoy and be very surprised about what you're going to learn on that call and how you're going to feel afterward. So take the chance, take a risk. I don't think any of us bite. Do you? Maybe Paul does. I don't know. No, none of us bite. We're there to help. We're here to serve. So we're very grateful that you're with us today and joining us every Sunday.
Yes. Thank you for joining us. We love you. Much success. And, take that risk. Set up a call with us. We want to meet you and hear from you. Most importantly, help you. All right. So we'll catch you next Sunday. Watch this replay if you missed a little bit of it. This was so powerful. Such a great call. Such a great call and amazing stories. Wow. This is amazing. Paul, did you have anything or are we good?
We're good. We're good.
All right. All right. Bye, everybody. More stories to come, more experiences. We'll see you next time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.